Right now, two iconic Cobb County coaches are back on the job. We're going to talk with one of them after he was reinstated by the school district. Also, the latest candidate to be Georgia's next governor sits down with 11Alive. We're going to have a preview for you coming up. And one painful bottleneck in Metro Atlanta will soon be loosened up. This is The Take. Let's get it. Hello and welcome. I'm Chesley McNeil, and this is The Take, where we go above and beyond the headlines and we look at the why and how stories are impacting you and your community. We invite the experts in to share their take on today's latest stories. And let's start off with this one, a major victory for two men who were left their mark on the Cobb County School District. Longtime basketball coaches James Gwynn and Randy McClure were initially told their positions at Campbell High School were being eliminated due to allotment purposes. This decision sparked outrage and got protests from the community, former students and other advocates. The Cobb County School District launched an investigation, and last night Superintendent Chris Ragsdale shared the results.
I recommended Coach McClure and Coach Gwynn be offered contracts for rehire by the Cobb County School District for school year 25-26. Both coaches accepted and signed their contracts. I am also pleased to report that the process leading to the recommendation for their non-renewal has also been examined, and it is my expectation it will not occur again.
Ooh, it will not occur again. So some good news right there. Joining us now is Cobb County coach James Gwynn. He's on the phone with us this morning. Good morning to you, Coach.
Good morning, Chesley.
All right. How do you feel this morning after hearing that news last night?
Feel very, very satisfied and feel very appreciative from Superintendent Ragsdale and the supporters in the community, colleagues. Just got a lot of support through this. So really, it's just a good feeling. Feels like your efforts are appreciated and noticed. Yeah.
You looking back on this whole thing, I know you thought, wow, this is kind of insane here. How do you feel about the whole situation now?
Well, I feel like it was unnecessary. That's just my opinion, but and I'm still not sure what all the motives of this was, but they put us through a tough time, and I think it put the program through a tough time, and I'm not sure really why it occurred in the first place.
Wow. Any lessons learned from this at all going forward?
Well, I think the lessons learned, some of the things that we try to tell the students, is sometimes you have life things that you have to deal with, and then you have to try to go about dealing with them in a professional manner and seeing a process through. And that's why I really appreciated the investigation and appreciated your guys' coverage. And I think it kind of let them know that if you show some resiliency and perseverance, that things may turn out your way. And I think this is going to be a good teaching point even for the students.
Those that made the decision, have you had a chance to talk to them about this since you've been reinstated?
No, I haven't. So hopefully that will come in short order.
Yeah. Hopefully, well, maybe this could be a spark into the next season coming up for you guys to go on and win a championship. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this may be some motivation that we can also pass along to the kids in the program, even myself and Coach McClure. We could maybe use this as motivation, and who knows what happens. We'll be able to refer back to it and maybe have a good result there too on the court. Yeah,
talk to me about your future plans. You mentioned when this first went down that you weren't planning on sticking around that long, but now that all this is taking place, what's your future plans? Do you have some clue, or are you just going to ride it out?
Well, I'd like to go, another year or two and just decide, talk with my family and my wife and see, she's been with me the whole time through all these years. So I'll probably think a little bit more and hopefully, I'll have some communication with the leadership at the school about the same thing.
Sometimes, I don't want to call it a bad thing, maybe it was just an unfortunate thing that happens, shines light on other things. I know you guys were honored by Smyrna this past week, right?
That's right. The Smyrna City Council did a proclamation for both myself and Coach McClure. I'm at 30 years, he's at 39 years, so I'm still kind of a young guy in the process, but they did it was very appreciative and it was very timely, I thought, for them. But that's part of that community support, and it really is, and we really appreciate that.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Very good. And that proclamation came last week. When did they give that to you?
That was the Smyrna recognition was on Monday.
Oh, this past Monday. Okay, yep, all right. And probably more to come, Coach. I can tell you that. And perhaps maybe as a result of this situation, you probably have more fans in the seats for the upcoming season. Folks are going to want to see you win. I know that for a fact.
Right, we're looking for it. I think that first home game may be very well attended.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I may be in the house myself.
Hey, we look forward to seeing you, Chesley.
Hey, appreciate all that you do, Coach. Thank you for your work, and we look forward to seeing you the upcoming season.
Okay, thank you for having me on.
All right, take care now. All right. Other stories that we're looking at today, Fulton County Sheriff's deputy is recovering at Grady Hospital after being shot in the leg in downtown Atlanta. Right now, the person who pulled the trigger is still on the run. Sources tell 11Alive that the deputy was ambushed, describing it as a targeted attack. Atlanta police confirms that the gunman was inside a vehicle, indicating it was a drive-by type of a shooting. 6 families are without a home this morning after a fire broke out at Ashbury Apartments on Flat Shoals Parkway in DeKalb County. Crews were responding to the scene just a few hours before that, responding to a fire in the basement. The cause of the fire is still under investigation this morning. All right, let's take a look at our forecast for today, and it's getting better. It's getting better. Yesterday we had a 50% chance for showers. Now we're down to a 30% chance. What does that mean? Well, the area of coverage won't be as widespread as it was yesterday, so we'll have more isolated showers around, especially starting this afternoon. We're starting off with a few clouds, but this afternoon we'll see those showers popping up. Some will intensify, and we could have a couple of thunderstorms around. A few breaks in those clouds, plus a southerly flow will help to boost our temperatures back up into the 80s today, right around 81 degrees. A little bit more in the way of sunshine coming our way as we head into Saturday. 20% chance for an isolated shower. 83 degrees will be the high. Drier on Sunday. We're looking at mostly sunny skies to start. Clouds will increase during the afternoon. 80 for the high temperature, 78 degrees by Monday, with a 20% chance coming back to us. And with a 20% chance, a lot of us won't see any of that at all. For those of you who like it really warm this time of year, wait till you get to the middle and the end of next week. We're going to see those temperatures on the rise. 83 degrees will be the high temperature on Tuesday. By Wednesday, we're up to 85, approaching that 90-degree mark by the time we get to Thursday. Also, another system will come back our way and bring in a 30% chance for a scattered shower or a thunderstorm. But again, 87 degrees for the high temperature by Thursday. For those of you who like that, enjoy it. For me, 83 and below. That's where it's nice and comfortable. I'd love it to stay that way, but we know it gets hot and humid around here, and so those days are coming. Hey, that's a look at your 7-day outlook. We'll be back with more stuff right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. Right now, you're taking a live look at St. Peter's Basilica, and where the mourners, mass mourners, are gathering there to pay their final respects to Pope Francis. This is the final day for public viewing and before tomorrow's mass funeral that will be taking place there. Joining us now is NBC's Dre Gray. He's live at the Vatican City. And Jay, we understand the Vatican is saying 130 delegations are confirmed for the funeral for tomorrow. That's 50 heads of state and 10 reigning sovereigns. Yeah. Break down how much security will be there for tomorrow's event.
I don't think you can count it up, Chesley. Yeah, no, we've already seen very strong security with the massive crowds that have been in St. Peter's Square and filing through St. Peter's Basilica. But understand that all these contingents, the leaders, the VIPs, the heads of state, they bring their security with them as well. So you will see an abundance of security on the ground here, in the air, perched on buildings here at the Vatican, and making sure that everything goes as planned. We should stress that there's been no known threat, so nothing that has piqued any interest as far as something that they're concerned about, but not willing to take any chances, obviously. And so you will see all of that security, and it will be very apparent, as it is already here on the ground. One other quick note: we talk about all the leaders and heads of state that are going to be here. We have learned today that former President Biden and his wife Jill will also be in attendance here. Of course, the former president, a devout Catholic, and so he will be a part of tomorrow's funeral as well.
Gotcha. All right, Jay, you said yesterday that you've been a part of 2 previous transfers of power there in the Vatican there. When you try, or can you try to compare how this stacks up, or at least this particular funeral, how this stacks up to the 2 previous?
Well, I don't think you can compare the funeral of John Paul II. That was just an overwhelming, monumental, historic event when we saw hundreds of thousands in the streets for days and days after his passing and for his funeral. The streets were overflowed. I saw people at the time of his passing drive a car onto the sidewalk, throw the door open, get out, leave it open, and running on the sidewalk, running to be in St. Peter's Square. So we won't see that type of outpouring, but we have learned today that officials here believe there'll be as many as 500,000 people that will be a part of the funeral tomorrow, that want to be here and be present. That is a huge crowd, and much larger, by the way, than I think they expected going into all of this.
Yeah. Now, once this funeral is over and the conclave starts, and you've been there for a couple of days now, Jay, have you seen any kind of jockeying for a position or any kind of lead on who may be next or anything?
I don't think so. I mean, we see the back and forth, but this is a very secretive process, and they maintain that as they prepare to go into this conclave. I mean, you've always got, especially here in Rome, the push for an Italian cardinal to take that position, though I don't believe that's going to be the case. There is a cardinal from the Philippines who many say would really carry on the traditions and things that have been set up by Pope Francis, and it's someone that Pope Francis certainly had spent time with and enjoyed. But I think we have to remember when Francis was elected Pope, he was not considered someone who was a front runner. You know, some of these places make odds about who the next Pope is going to be. Francis was 15th as far as the odds were concerned. So it just really depends on some of the speeches that they hear before the conclave begins, some of the back and forth discussions. That's what won people over for Francis. He made a 3-minute or so speech that really won over that conclave, and he was elected Pope.
Gotcha. All right, Jay Gray, live from the Vatican. I know you'll be there through the weekend. Thanks for all your insight this week as well, and have a great weekend, Jay.
Yep.
All right, you can watch the entire funeral service of Pope Francis tomorrow right here on 11Alive Plus, starting at 4 a.m. Saturday morning. All right, this weekend's around the corner, and that means a new edition of the Georgia Vote. It's on the way. Yeah, co-anchor Zach Merchant joining me now for yet another full week of politics here in the Peach State. And Zach, give me the preview. What's going on, man?
Yeah, look, every week there's so much going on in our state. Tell me how this hits you when you hear this. Election day, you know it is still more than a year and a half away, right? It does not feel that way at all. You could be forgiven if it felt like it was just around the corner. It, in a lot of ways, feels like the fourth quarter of the political season already, even though we just got through the 2024 presidential election. And that is because the focus on 2026 and some major high priority, high intensity races in 2026, that is starting to crystallize right now. A big point this week, the first prominent Democrat to formally enter the governor's race has emerged, and we are talking with him.
All right, don't keep us in suspense. Who is it?
That would be Jason Estevez. He is a state senator. He represents parts of the Atlanta area. If he sounds like a familiar name to folks, that's because not just due to his state Senate service, he also used to chair the Atlanta Public Schools Board. And during the 2024 presidential election cycle, he often appeared as a local surrogate for the Democratic presidential ticket. First, of course, on behalf of President Joe Biden, and then on behalf of candidate and Vice President Kamala Harris.
Gotcha. What kind of challenges do you think he's going to face?
Probably two right out the gate. The first is going to be name recognition inside the metro, inside of Atlanta. He's a reasonably well-known figure, but you know, it's a statewide post to be the governor. You're the governor of the entire state. He's going to have to make sure, if he wants to run a successful campaign, that folks all across Georgia's more than 150 counties know who he is. And that's probably in part why he has jumped out and announced already. The other big challenge is going to be figuring out just who his competition is, figuring out who he's running against. To get to the general election, he's got to first get through the primary. In the Democratic field, it is still murky. Former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, she has indicated strongly that she intends to announce a campaign. Meanwhile, former state senator and one-time gubernatorial candidate and grandson of former President Jimmy Carter, that's Jason Carter, he has said he does not plan to enter the race this year. But there are other prominent Democrats, like former DeKalb County CEO Michael Thurmond and two-time gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams. they still appear to be considering whether they want to get into this race or not.
Wow. Did he talk to you about how he's going to frame his campaign at all?
You know, he did, and right now, and again, this is still early, but what we heard in our interview was a little bit of a two-track message. On the one hand, he referenced President Donald Trump unflatteringly in the first 20 seconds of his campaign launch video. On the other hand, in our interview, though, he also frequently focused his answers on kitchen table issues like affordability, healthcare, education. I asked him how he plans to balance those two competing themes. You can hear his answer this Sunday morning.
Okay, all right. Also, a big week for Governor Brian Kemp, right?
A big week, almost a kind of spike the football week for him. He put a tremendous amount of political capital in the line this year to push through his top legislative priority, that is tort reform. The controversial bill passed by a very narrow margin, and on Monday, the governor signed it into law. It's also a milestone in that the governor has frequently been asked about his own plans for 2026, and over the recent months, he often said, hey, look, I'll address those questions after we get through the legislative session. We've got high priority legislation like tort reform to get to. Well, now that is all done. The questions about his future are intensifying. We could be seeing a decision coming from him in the coming weeks or months.
Tell us, what do you think? You think he'll run?
Who knows? I guess I'm punting on that question a little bit, but because nobody knows except for Governor Kemp. And he, at least publicly, has said he's still thinking it through as well. A lot of Republican strategists, of course, they want him to run. They want him to challenge incumbent Democrat Jon Ossoff for his 2026 Senate seat. So far, though, the governor hasn't indicated which way he is leaning. We will be, of course, watching it closely along with you and everybody who's keeping a close eye on Georgia politics.
Absolutely. We know you highlight every day a Georgian in your voice segment of the show. And who you have this week?
Right. You know, Voice of the Voter has been a core part of the show since we came on the air 1 year ago. I know we're running short on time, but I do just want to mention this quickly in kind of honor of the many folks who've shared their experiences, their views, their voices over this last year. We're doing a special 1 year segment of Voice of the Voter looking back on this remarkable 12-month period of Georgia politics in the words, in the eyes of so many people, so many regular everyday Georgians who lived through it. That's coming up this Sunday.
Gotcha, Zach. Really appreciate you being on here and sharing that insight. We look forward to seeing you every week, man. Have a good weekend.
You too.
All right, take care. You can watch the Georgia Vote with Zach and Faith Jesse Sunday morning at 11 o'clock right here on 11Alive Plus. Don't go anywhere. We got much more stories for you coming up after the break. All right, welcome back to the show. If you're driving out by Six Flags, you may start seeing some work being done there on a multi-year massive overhaul of a key interchange. Back with us this morning and joining us on the show is good friend of the show, GDOT spokesperson Nellie Dale. Nellie, always good to see you.
Good morning and happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yeah, we're talking about that I-285, I-20 West interchange there. How big of a project is this?
Well, it's big. And, you know, we've talked recently with you about I-285 and I-20 on the east side. So similarly to that, that's the scope of this project, a multi-year project to redesign an entire interchange that has really become sort of outdated, no longer fits the needs of the amount of congestion that goes through, the freight that goes through. So we are beginning to clear out there, and you will begin to see really this project take shape.
Wow. Talk to us about all the bells and whistles that's going to go into it.
So there will be a new collector distributor lane system, new ramps, new movement, similarly to that I-285 at 400 interchange. What we've looked at is how to divide the congestion. What are local trips? What are trips that are going through? Where is freight going? Where are the people going? And then you divide up those different groups using the interchange so that there is a safer drive through the interchange and more mobility. And if you look at the benefits of 285 at 400, you see how that method really works. We are really moving traffic at that top end of 285. And we've got good things coming on the east side. So we're just going to begin to turn our attention to the west side, which we know gets locked up a lot.
I know. What's the projected completion date on this?
So this is going to be a big project, which takes time. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at substantial completion in 2030. But if you drive this area, you know just how long we have needed these improvements. So it is well beyond time to get this project going to get more mobility and more safety in this area.
Talk about interchanges, talk about improvement. You know, we always see these national lists come out and have the worst interchanges, things like that. Metro Atlanta always seems to take the brunt of these, especially the notorious Spaghetti Junction. But you're actually helping to ease these bottlenecks, right?
Well, the good news is that ATRI, the American Transportation Research Institute, they release a list every year of the top 100 freight bottlenecks, and we have many in the top list. Now, we used to have more in the top 10. Spaghetti Junction for a long time was always number 1. It has actually bumped down to number 4, and that 285 at 400 interchange has dropped 20 spots to 29 cents. We finished that project. So it just shows the need for these interchange reconstructions in Georgia and the benefits we see once these projects are going and once these projects are finished.
Do you think they're just being hard on us?
You know, we have a lot of freight in Georgia, and that's a great benefit to the state in many ways. But what we really need to think about when we click that Amazon order is that order comes from somewhere that has to get on some freight to get to your house. So sometimes we can help without even having to build a whole project. We can do small things to help. Solutions for congestion in Atlanta. So maybe next time before you click that 3rd and 4th Amazon delivery of the day, think about how that adds to the freight on our roads.
That's absolutely right. Good point, Natalie. You always bring good insight to us. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Make sure you have a good weekend, okay?
Absolutely, you as well.
All right, take care. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. Back with my final take and a look at your forecast when we return. 81 degrees for your afternoon high temperature today. We're going to have those isolated showers popping up again once we get to the afternoon, of course. We'll start to see that take place. Some embedded thunderstorms are certainly possible as well. How about your weekend outlook? Well, it looks pretty good. Lower chances for rain, only a 20% chance on Saturday. We'll start you off with the clouds, and then we'll see the sunshine breaking out once we get to the afternoon. Now, a front will move through the area. It's a somewhat dry front, about a 20% chance for an isolated shower. A lot of us won't see that at all. 83 degrees for the high temperature. Behind that, somewhat drier air works into the area, so we'll start off with mostly sunny skies on Sunday. 80 will be our afternoon high, but clouds will work in by the time we get to the afternoon. We're going to start off the work week on the cool side. Monday, 78. Well, that's where we should be for this time of year, right? I say cool side, but we'll go back up into those 80s. In fact, upper 80s expected to be around the forecast area by the time we hit Wednesday and Thursday of next week, with another system coming in, bringing us more rain by the end of the work week. All right, before we go, my final take. You know, as a scientist, I love new discoveries, you know, pushing the boundaries where no humans have ever gone before. Love it, love it, love it. But some research needs to be left in the dark. A team of researchers say they discovered a brand new color. Sounds exciting, right? But you can't see it until somebody takes a laser to your eye. Scientists at the University of California, Berkeley, who have witnessed the new color, say they've given it a name, OLO. OLO. Yeah, they say it's a deep, rich, bluish green color that can't be seen by the naked eye. You got to take a laser to your eye before you see it. What good is that? I get it. But if we're going to put research dollars for new discoveries, let it be something that's more helpful for our everyday living, you know? Let's invest some money in that. I'm just not seeing OLO, no pun intended. Help me out, folks. Perhaps you can see it. Hit me up on social media. Let me know what you think. I'm just not getting it. I don't see it, except for the OLO color of my producer's car out in the parking lot. I don't know. That's all we got for you today, folks. Remember to stay safe and encourage someone today. Have an OLO day and an OLO weekend.